I paid a very high price, lost my entire family, just to stand for the truth, trying to change the situation in the Middle East. And I find myself in the captivity of what's so-called politically correctness in this country. I cannot move. Media, don't talk about this. We cannot talk about that. And all I say, I am a witness. I'm not an expert. I'm not sharing my personal opinion. This is the way that things are. And it seems that people rather to stick their head in the sand and not to face the reality. Well, my name is Musab Hassan Yousef. I'm the oldest son of Sheikh Hassan Yousef, my beloved father, who I still love and respect. One of the most amazing examples among men. And he will be forever. I'm talking about him as a person now, on the personal level. But unfortunately, that my father is involved in Hamas movement and the Muslim Brotherhood. He's one of the founders of Hamas. Before that, he was one of the local leaders of the Muslim Brotherhood. I was arrested by the Israeli Shin Bet, and I agreed to work for the Israeli Shin Bet. My goal was to infiltrate the agency, and I ended up working for the Shin Bet against Hamas, against what I was planning from the beginning. I wrote a book, Son of Hamas, about all details of this transformation. I did not only work against the ideology and the movement of Hamas, I turned my back to Islam as a religion, as entire belief system, and I converted to Christianity, not the religious type of Christianity. I became a Jesus Christ follower. The walls of isolations that protected Islam for 1400 years are gone. Now we have media, we have satellite TV, we have social networks, and people have access to information. Islam can't stand this new reality. Now, what we are witnessing today in the Middle East, and nobody is talking about it, this is the beginning of the collapse of Islam. First, the collapse of the Islamic political systems. They are collapsing one after another. Isn't this surprising? This is not only in Egypt, it's everywhere in the Middle East. And people think that this is just like a normal revolution, people are hungry, and no, this didn't happen accidentally. The walls are gone. In 2007, when I first joined Facebook, now I'm not there anymore because they turned off my page because I talk about lots of controversial things. I thought this is going to change the world the way that we see it, not only in the Middle East, here in the West as well. This social network has authority more than the government does. Very powerful. And we have been working with Muslims and the new generation in the Middle East to expose to them simply the real nature of Islam and the real identity of Muhammad. And we have hundreds of thousands of feedbacks every month. Emails, phone calls, and we have been following this for the last years. Governments don't want to see it this way, and organizations keep distinguishing between radical Islam and moderate Islam. And what we are telling them, this is the idea of the Muslim Brotherhood. We have charity. It looks like a wonderful job. It's serving a noble goal of feeding poor and people in need. On the other hand, they have Hamas as a military wing, as fighting front for them. So they say that we have moderate movements, moderate part of us, and fundamentalist part of us. And this is our lie. Buy it and get lost and lose all your time distinguishing between both, and we give you the solution. They create the problem, and they sell us the solution, compromise with us on a daily basis, and we put our trust in them. The United States have been supporting what's so-called Islamic moderate regimes for the last 40 years. Dictatorships. They don't have anything in common with the Western civilization values. They don't believe in it. They don't respect it. They fight it on a daily basis. And we maintain very high diplomatic relationships with this type of regimes, who are creating our enemies and giving us the solution. Hosni Mubarak and his regime, he's the one who created Zawahiri. I've been following the history of this man, the second man of Al-Qaeda. He hated America in Egyptian prisons when he was persecuted. Hosni Mubarak supports Al-Azhar, the highest religious authority in Egypt, that has an authority that is much higher than the government itself. And with their fatwas, their Quran, their Islam, when they educate people and people start to believe in that Islamic belief, they become terrorists. Then the same exact regime start to persecute those people and compromise with the West of keeping Islamists in prisons and fight terrorism. The real enemies that we thought that they were friends, this is what's really have been happening in that region. Ma'alim fi tariq. It was the first thing to study. It was even more important than the Quran, but it's based on the Quran, the Hadith, the Sunnah. And the goal was to hate the West, its values, and everything about it. And even Sayyid Qutb calls this is the collapse of the West, like he collapse of humanity, what the Western civilization or Western civilization values is all about. Now, later on, Hamas was founded. In 1986, Sheikh Ahmad Yassin, before Hamas was established, he was a top Muslim Brotherhood leader. And later on, he became the spiritual leader of Hamas with my father and 5 other Hamas or Muslim Brotherhood members gathered in Hebron to the south of the West Bank, and they established Hamas. The goal was, you establish Hamas, it's our military arm. Excuse me. Your goal to destroy Israel. We are 2 separated organizations, but we share the same ideology. The goal that Israel, if they have anything, it will be against Hamas, not against the Muslim Brotherhood. If Israel would react for the violence of Hamas, it will be only against Hamas as the legal child of the Muslim Brotherhood, but not against the mother movement, the Muslim Brotherhood. And this is their strategy. And Israel have been fooled by this strategy. Israel considers Hamas as a terrorist organization. They have been fighting Hamas for a long time, but they have no evidence against the Muslim Brotherhood. While the Muslim Brotherhood are providing the infrastructure, which is schools, charity committees, hospitals, all type of support to Hamas members and their families. And people still believe the lie that there is no difference, there is difference between the 2 movements. The strength of the Muslim Brotherhood is their ideology, and this is the real problem. In Jordan, they are more peaceful. By the way, the Jordanian Muslim Brotherhood have been controlling the Jordanian parliament for the last 20 years, for people who are afraid that the Muslim Brotherhood would control the Egyptian parliament. I see it happening because they have members and they have a very strong movement in Egypt. It will concern me if they can't control the army. But we can't stop them of controlling the parliament if they go through elections. In the meantime, the best way to defeat the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas and all terrorist groups that they were born from the womb of the Muslim Brotherhood, including Al-Qaeda and its leader Bin Laden. He is inspired by Hassan al-Banna. His teacher is Abdullah Azzam. You go to the Muslim Brotherhood website in Arabic, not in English, not the English website, and you find that one of their top leaders, Abdullah Azzam. Abdullah Azzam is the Muslim secular who fought against the Soviet Union, and Bin Laden is one of his students. In fact, Bin Laden considers that only one Muslim secular who deserves this name or this position is Abdullah Azzam, because he was one of the Muslim Brotherhood and he came to fight Russia and the United States on the Afghani land. He was assassinated in 1989, I think, with his two sons by the Russians. But still, he's one of the top leaders of the Muslim Brotherhood, regarding to their own website, Abdullah Azzam. And you will find that Bin Laden speaks highly of him as his teacher and inspiration. So, the Muslim Brotherhood did not only give a birth to Hamas, it gave birth also to Al-Qaeda and many, many other terrorist organizations. Hamas, as organization, didn't get all its members involved in attacks or military attacks against Israel. They established the Hamas military wing to make it even much more difficult and complicated for Israel to stop them. So the Muslim Brotherhood, then Hamas is not the most dangerous organization. The most dangerous organization is Al-Qassam brigades, the military wing of Hamas. Now, the military wing of Hamas has responsibilities, military activities against Israel, suicide bombing attacks, killing Israelis no matter what. Hamas does not, or the Kataib al-Qassam does not distinguish between civilians and Israeli soldiers. So they were responsible for the death of thousands of Israelis and Palestinians and Americans at the same time. And Israel got very busy to look for a small percentage of Hamas movement called Kataib Izzuddin al-Qassam. My father is a top leader of Hamas, and he never allowed any connection between himself and any of the military wing leaders. Even if they come to him asking for help, maybe they would be facing death or real danger, and he would say, I am sorry, I cannot help you with anything. Go find someone else. 10 years spying on my father, we didn't have any evidence that he had any connection with Hamas military wing. And this is how Hamas survived. Get less than 5% of the movement members involved in military activities, and 95% would support and provide the infrastructure for the military wing. Mostly you'll find a Hamas member who spent in Israel 2 years in Israeli prison. Then after that they're released, they are back to their activities. And this is how Hamas has been bleeding Israel. And their goal is not to destroy Israel. If they have a nuclear bomb, they wouldn't hesitate to use it. But this is their strategy of bleeding Israel and their enemy. The same strategy of the Muslim Brotherhood as the same strategy of Hamas.